So we'll continue our discussion on Sefira HaOmer. We were touching on the Machlokes Rishonim on whether Sefira B'Zman Hazeh is a mitzvah min Torah or a mitzvah midrabanan. The Rambam holds even today Sefira HaOmer is a mitzvah min Torah, and other Rishonim, the Balitosis, hold it's Drabanan. And we'll come back to it also, different nafkaminas between Darais and Drabanan. But tonight we'll focus on a different issue. The issue is of one who misses a day or thinks he missed a day during Sefira. We know the Torah tells us Tamimos Tiyena, that you have to have a complete count. So really, the simple explanation when it says you have to have Tamimos is, the question is, why do we begin Sefira HaOmer at night? Why not during the morning, like we do shofar, lulav? There are many mitzvahs we only do during the day. So why is Sefira HaOmer at night? The Carbon Omer is during the day. So that's what the simple pshat is. Tamimos is because you need a complete day. So the reason why we say Sefira at night is we want a complete count. That's really what Tamimos means. Most people don't even realize that's just this pshuto. What most people are familiar with is the Shitas HaBahag, who has a chiddush on Tamimos. And therefore, but that's what Tamimos means, we begin at night. So there's a discussion among the Rishonim, what happens if one, as I said, Sefira HaOmer is one of the easiest mitzvahs and it's one of the most difficult mitzvahs. It's one of the easiest mitzvahs, it only takes a couple of seconds to do. It's one of the most difficult mitzvahs because you got to remember for 7 weeks. So what happens if a person didn't count, he missed a day? Does that make a difference? Let's say I missed the first 48 days. Should I count day 49? If I know I'm going to miss a day. So, it's a Machlokes Rishonim. Most Rishonim hold that every day is an independent mitzvah, and one day has nothing to do with another. And therefore, even if I miss the first 48 days, I'll count day 49. And the Shitas HaBahag, or as many learn the Bahag says that if you miss a day, you can no longer continue counting. So, what's the pshat in the Bahag? Why does it say you can no longer continue counting? So, many learn the Bahag, that's the Machlokes. He must hold it's one big mitzvah. If it's one big mitzvah, so you can't be a little bit pregnant. Either you're pregnant or you're not. Either you're going to do the mitzvah or you're not going to do the mitzvah. It doesn't make a difference if you do 1 out of 49 or 40 out of 49, you didn't get the mitzvah. So that, the Bahag never says it's one mitzvah, that's what the Bahag says. If you miss a day, that's it. It's over. So why would it be over? The assumption being it's over because it's one big mitzvah. And that's how many learn the Bahag. So that seems to be, so it's a Machlokes Rishonim, there's one Machlokes, that if you miss a day, could you go back? And it's a separate Machlokes, could you count during the day at all? There's some sheets that say you only can count at night. So in Shulchan Aruch we make kind of like we want to hedge ourselves. We want to cover ourselves on all angles. So the normative psak given by most, and I think it's brought down in Shulchan Aruch, that if a person misses at night, the only time you make a bracha is at night, and then if you remember during the day, like tonight is 19, I believe. Did you count yet? You didn't? Okay. The can't good to hold off until we finish this year. But I think tonight is 19. So let's say, so if a person remembers tonight, he counts with the bracha. If not, let's say I remembered tomorrow, I didn't count tonight. So l'maisa, I count without a bracha. Why? Because actually it's a Machlokes Rishonim. According to some, you can't even count during the day period. It's just, and others say that no, other, it could be connected to the Ksiras Omer. So whatever the lumdis is for another time. But so what we do is we compromise that we count since it's a machlokas, whether I could count during the day at all. So I count during the day without a bracha, and then so if I count day 19 tomorrow, day 20 I continue with the bracha. That's the normative psak here. That if you forget it now, you make it up during the day without a bracha, then you can continue counting with the bracha. You miss a complete day, so then you can no longer count with a bracha, you count without a bracha. So Rav Soloveitchik points out, he says, you have to know your Baal Habatim. You have to know who you're talking to. Because many people, if you tell them, you know what? You missed a complete day, okay, count without a bracha. So they understand the code. Oh, count without a bracha. Well, see, at least the good news is people give more chashivas to a bracha than really it's warranted. I mean, al pi halacha. I don't mean in machshava and having kavana, but many people don't realize in 95% of the cases or more, the bracha isn't ma'akiv in the mitzvah. If I put on tefillin in the morning, I don't make a bracha. I still fulfill my mitzvah of tefillin, and so on with most mitzvahs. There's this, because we assume there's interesting. I think there's a Rav Yosef angle based on a Rashi that we don't paskin like. That what's the reason? Some say why, because they think brachas are only d'Rabbanan, and the mitzvah is d'Oraisa, so therefore the bracha is not mi'akev. So they have a base on this. Rav Yosef angle says on a mitzvah midrabanan, any mitzvah midrabanan you do, so the bracha is mi'akev. I guess i.e. near Chanukah, that could be by Shlomo Kogershi. We don't assume that's the reason. That's an interesting kiddush of Rav Yosef Engel that he says about lachol. We assume it's just not because it's the rise of Rabbanan. The bracha is there as a hechsher to enhance it, but it's not a ma'akev in the mitzvah. So most people see, they hear, Rabbi, what should I do? Count without a bracha. Okay, I'm not going to waste my time. Why bother counting if I'm not really getting the mitzvah anyway? You don't realize what you're saying is, no, you are getting the mitzvah. What you're just saying is, and this is the Machaber, probably L'shitason, the Machaber is always very strict when it comes to brachas. That's why for women volunteering positive commitzvahs, positive commandments, Svardim don't do it, because the Rambam Shita is that if you say God's name in vain, it's an Issa Daraisa. In terms of, there's a machlokes, if you make a bracha shein tzricha, not this, obviously different, there's certain types of brachas of veins would be biblical, but according to the Rambam, by making a bracha when you don't have to, you violate a biblical prohibition. So it's going like the pan to the fire. Why risk moving into a biblical prohibition when the whole mitzvah is only d'Rabbanan? But in general, so therefore, what the psak really means is really, it goes like this. It's a machlokas rishonim, whether it's 49 mitzvahs or one. If it's 49 mitzvahs, you can continue counting. So since it's a sveik, let's assume, the Rambam is treating it, which is interesting because the Bahag isn't usually known lahalach, even, there are a couple of Bahags, but number one, he's the Das Yachid, and plus, he's not the normative guy we pass, and yet the Rambam is very concerned. So he says, the Choshes for Shitas HaBahag, continue counting without a bracha. That's what but really according to Rov Rishonim, you have to count with the bracha. It's just that the Machaber is just going L'kula and Safek Brachos L'Hakyav. But most Baal Batim assume when you don't make a bracha, then they'll stop counting. Like what is Rav Soloveitchik, an example he always gives? The Gemara in Sukkah. The Gemara in Sukkah talks about eating in a Sukkah on Shmini Atzeres in Chutz La'aretz. The Gemara quotes different opinions in the Gemara. So the Gemara itself paskins the Shaila. Because one opinion is you sit with the bracha, you sit without a bracha. So the Gemara concludes, Yasvi Yazvina Bruchilo Mavarchina. The Gemara concludes, you sit in the sukkah without a bracha. So the Rabbi says, look what happens. You tell people, Shemini Atzeres, you should sit in the sukkah without a bracha. Oh, I'm not making a bracha, I might as well sit inside. Everyone moves inside. There's different reasons why Chasidish have been hugging, but the Rabbi's mocking it. He didn't think, he thought everyone has to eat in the sukkah at Shemini Atzeres. He's saying, look what happens. You tell someone not to make a bracha, they think it's not a mitzvah anymore, so therefore, Rav Soloveitchik, it's very cogent, it might be a chiddush v'halacha, but it's very logical. He says, I understand the Machab's psak, and Einachanami, for a Ben Torah, you might as well go with the psak of the Machaber, and therefore, you realize counting is no different to count without a bracha. Everyone doesn't realize you have to count. You have a chiyuv to count even if you're not making it. Bracha has something to do with it. I could count all 49 days, never make a bracha, and get my mitzvah of Sefira Somer. Brachas for other issues to enhance it, or the preparation. So he says you have to know your balabatim. If you're going to tell someone, okay, count without a bracha, he's going to, okay, it doesn't count, I'm not going to stop. Better he should continue counting with the bracha every night than not to count at all, because according to everybody, lahalacha, I should say, lahalacha he has to count. It's only because b'choshesh rishita tabahag that we're telling you not to make a bracha. The Shulchan Aruch is saying you have to count, but out safek brachas v'hakyo. So therefore he's saying it's better, and since really the Rav Soloveitchik really holds me'ikar adin, we pass in like Rov Rishonim. We don't pass in the Bahag. To me, it means we start counting at night. That's what it means. The Bahag's chiddush is, it means if you miss a day, that's it. So therefore, number one is we don't necessarily pass in like the Bahag, with this choshesh l'chumrah. So therefore, if someone's not going to count, better to count with the bracha. And in fact, Rav Soloveitchik wanted to say that the Bahag also agrees it's 49 separate mitzvahs. Alright, so what does the Bahag say? If you miss a day, you no longer count. If it's 49 separate mitzvahs, that's where it comes from. The Bahag says if you miss a day, you don't count anymore, so it must be because it's one. So Rav Soloveitchik says no. The Bahag also agrees it's 49 separate mitzvahs. If it's 49 separate mitzvahs, then why if I miss a day I can't continue count? That's a totally different reason, because it's a mitzvah of Sefira Omer. You have to have a count. And a count by definition means consecutive. When I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's a count. 1, 3, 5, 6, 8, that's not a count. So the reason why the Bahag says you can no longer count is because you're lacking the ritzifus. You don't have the consecutiveness anymore. But not to say that Sefira Omer is one big mitzvah. The chiddush of the Bahag is, even though it's 49 separate mitzvahs, but it has to be once you break the continuity, so then you're lacking in tamimis, and therefore you can't count anymore. But not that it's, so even according to Rav Soloveitchik, everyone agrees it's one mitzvah. It's just if you miss but in the Bahag,
agree that it's 49 separate mitzvahs.
But everyone agrees it's 49 separate mitzvahs, and even the Bahag, the reason why he says not to go back is because he has a chiddush in terms of it has to be a receiver. That's kind of like the Dvar of Ram. There's a whole discussion about why don't we count 2 days out Tzveika Diyoma. We keep Yontav Sheni Shagoyas. So I should say tonight is 19, tonight is 20, whatever the days are. So that's the Bala Mor's kasha. So the Bala Mor says Einachanami, you're right, but when you get to Shavuos, it's going to cause Zilzul Yontav. We don't want to still be counting Sefira when we're in Shavuos. The Dvar of Ram has a different answer. He says basically, by Maisa Behema, you have to count like there's a Asura Vada. He says you need by Sefira, the definition of accounting is to have to say a day. I can't like today is either 1 or 2. Today's either Tuesday or Wednesday. That's not a count. So I kind of like the lines of, even though, but then you see the anivus of the Devar Avram, that, but at the end he backed and he says, but clearly the Baal HaMor didn't think that, because the Baal HaMor's answer implied something else, and therefore he's backing down on what he's saying, but that's what he thought. So either way, so that's what Rav Soloveitchik points out. So therefore he says, so what's the pshat then? And so my nafkamina, if you learn the simple pshat of the Bahag, that it's one big... The Bahag says if you miss a day, it's over. So the question is, simple pshat is because it's one big mitzvah. According to somebody, no, it's not one big mitzvah, it's 49 separate mitzvahs according to everybody. It's just that when you're lacking the receivers, you can't count anymore. My nafkamina in the pshat of the Bahag. Either way, according to the Bahag, once you miss a day, it's over. So Rav Soloveitchik explained, and others, I'll give you an nafkamina. What about, let's say, someone who is going to have surgery in the middle of Sfiras Omer? Let's say, obviously, as always, whether it's counted anywhere else, you never know for sure anyway that you're going to have it. Maybe it'll get pushed off, something will happen, so you do it anyway. But let's say hypothetically you knew a Navi is going to tell you you're going to be, a Navi Muksak will tell you you're having surgery, you're going to be out cold for more than 24 hours. You're going to miss it. You're going to miss day 35 of Sefira. You haven't begun counting yet. It's not, it's Erev Pesach. You know day 35 Sefira you're going to miss. Should I bother counting at all? Do I count day 1? So according to the simple explanation of Bahag, then no. You should, it's a bracha of Batola. If you assume the Bahag holds is one big mitzvah, so if I know I'm going to miss day 35, so it'll be all this will be bracha of Batola because I'm not going to be able to complete the mitzvah. In fact, that's what is a discussion among the Achronim regarding Nashim. Again, today the practice seems to be that many women count with a bracha. In fact, they usually remember better than the men. But the difference is, I think the Mishabur writes that even though women are patur from Sfiras Omer, they're allowed to count, but he says better they don't count, at least without a bracha, because the concern is they're not going to finish. If the implication to the Mishnah Brura is that let's say they start counting with the bracha and they only go halfway, he seems to imply that maybe the brachas are bracha l'batolas, and therefore they shouldn't do it. Men have no choice. They're chayiv in the mitzvah, so you can't assume you're not going to do it. You just got to do it and remember it. So it's kamabra, but that's a big chiddush because who says it's a bracha l'batola? The bracha is going on the ma'isa mitzvah. Let's say I count my first 10 days with the bracha. I don't see it as a bracha l'batola. Those brachas are good. And it's the fact that that by itself is a machlokas in the Achronim, but what he writes by women. So, but over here, what the Rav Soloveitchik is saying in the Bahag, according to the simple explanation, you shouldn't start counting Sefira. But according to Rav Soloveitchik's explanation, of course you keep on counting. According to the Bahag, it's 49 separate mitzvahs. It's this, if you miss a day, so therefore, you count to day 35, and then once you miss, and then you continue without a bracha after that. But since so therefore Rav Soloveitchik says number one is he's only a das yachid, and even according to Rav Soloveitchik, he holds it's 49 separate mitzvahs. So therefore that's why Rav Soloveitchik pointed out that he should continue, that the person who's having surgery should continue counting as far as he can to do it. So in fact we have something similar is, so this getting to your shaila first, so they point out that so Rav Soloveitchik we see has a chiddush. He says that still going. He has a chiddush that says that you have to know your balabat, and really we paskin it's 49 separate mitzvahs, but so one savak brachos hakel, continue counting without a bracha. If you think the person's not going to count at all, just tell them to make a bracha. What about if someone is not sure if they counted? But they don't remember. They know they're not sure if they counted, or they don't remember if they counted the right night. They could. So a first glance you might say, this is dependent on the machlokas rishonim we began this year. Whether if Sefira's Omer is deraisa, so maybe you say Savek deraisa l'chumra. If Sefira's Omer is drabanan, you say Savek drabanan l'kua. One would have said that, but the truth be told, even according to the Rambam, even if you hold Sefira is deraisa, you still would be able to continue, because we have a svek sveka. One suffix is maybe you counted last night, maybe you did not count. That's one suffix. And then the second suffix is, and even if you did not count, maybe we passed in it's 49 separate mitzvahs, and therefore, so what? You missed a day. So that's why we're very makel by any type of suffix, by Sfiras Omer, we always look for the svek sveka. Since we have a maker adin, we really passed in it's 49. So therefore, someone who's masupik, and that's why someone who's not sure if they counted, or if they're not sure if they counted the right day, so we can assume that you did, and therefore, or we go with the svek sveka, even if you didn't, you should continue counting with the brachas. That's how I recommend in your case. It's never too late so tonight, day 19, then you should continue counting with the bracha.
Can you repeat the sveka? What's the...
Yeah, the one suffix is, maybe you counted last time, maybe you didn't. Or in your case, maybe you counted the right day, maybe you didn't. You're not sure if you counted in your case it's even better, you counted. So, in your case, the general svek is that someone's not sure if they counted at all. So maybe they counted, maybe they didn't. And even if they did not count, so what? Maybe it's 49 separate mitzvahs. So we don't take the 49 separate mitzvahs by itself, according to the Rav Soloveitcher we do, but we don't. And therefore, but with a sniff for another suffix, we go with the svek sveka to be meko. Or in your case, you counted. So one suffix, maybe you counted the right day, maybe you counted the wrong day. And even if you counted the wrong day, so what? Every day is a new mitzvah, and therefore we have the sniff to be meko, and therefore you should continue counting with the bracha. As long as you've been counting all along, I'd recommend now starting to count, going back to your roots and counting with the bracha.